That's right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome back. We got anything to discuss? Any topics of interest in Notre Dame land that you would like to pontificate on? Anything at all? Anything at all. It's wild. You guys, I say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. I've said it on this show for 7 years now. It's never boring in Notre Dame. It doesn't matter the time of year. It doesn't matter whether it's football season. None of it matters. It is just always something in Notre Dame, which is beautiful when you're doing what I'm doing. There's always drama. There's always concern. There's always something extra with Notre Dame. I love it. That's why we're all here. I mean, it's exciting. Thanks for being here, folks. This is a divisive issue, a majorly divisive issue, which is very Notre Dame-y. Another thing I say on this show every week. Nobody in Notre Dame land agrees on anything ever. We could win the championship and there'd be some people who are mad about the way we celebrate or that we didn't win by enough. Nobody ever agrees in Notre Dame land. The fan base never agrees on anything. And here we are in a situation with a guy that we've all been debating the whole regular season. Is he great at his job? Is he bad at his job? Is he living in the shadow of Kelly? And once he's out of that, it'll be better or not? Whose fault is it that the quarterback room wasn't in good shape when he was the quarterback coach to begin with? There's just a lot here. So I want to get through my little piece on this, go over some maybe potential OC candidates. That's the next step of this project if we need to. I want to hit your comments if anybody wants to call. Let's just get into this. I want to gauge where we're at. And the interesting thing is, when I looked on Twitter, it's all over the map, just like I hear on this show. Kind of when you juxtapose like the vibe of this show, callers for and against things and all that stuff, and then you go to Twitter, a lot of times you'll find those trends overlap because it's such a big space. Same thing, man. Twitter, half the people let me pack his bags. The other half, it's like an old girlfriend. You don't know what you have till she's gone. All over the board. So we have a lot to get into. Welcome in, folks. It's just funny to me how much there is to talk about with Notre Dame every single day. This one is super tricky. Thanks for being here. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet. I appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me as well. Notifications on. That way you'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishindy@gmail.com. Audio only. Anywhere you want me, you can get me. 312-988-15. Tell Johnny all that you heard and seen. Dial it up, folks. So let's get through a couple comments. I always like to catch up with the comments that started before the show, so then we're caught up and we can read them during. I don't want to be behind the whole time. Ben Emery says Tommy Fleece instead of Rees. All right, so we know where Ben's at here. Jay, good to see you, Jay. I'll say it every time I see it. Jay's one of the nicest guys in the world. Because he's the Notre Dame guy, I don't want Tommy to go. However, eventually it was going to happen. I just didn't expect it to be Alabama. Mark, I don't get this. How does a home loss against Marshall and Stanford make Saban say, give me some of that? Make it make sense, John. I say all the time, everybody in the know in these power positions in the NFL and college football has a lot of good things to say about Tommy and his creativity and his mind and all that. They do. The problem is every time I need Notre Dame's offense to win the biggest game we're in, it never happens. That's the problem. That's the disconnect. And the other thing I want to say is it's a tough bar. Notre Dame's been winning a lot lately. The only real next step was beating these top teams, playoff level teams was really the only level left to go, if not backwards. That's tough because the bar was that, and that's really hard to do. But you could always bring it back to that. When you needed Notre Dame's offense to score a lot in the biggest games or to be competitive in a playoff game, We never did. Now, is that all Rees's fault? Absolutely not. And that's where this discussion gets very complicated. Any complaints we have about the Notre Dame offense the last handful of years of the Kelly era, whatever, there's a lot that goes into that ingredient of the ingredients in that stew of us not liking it. That's a part of the reason even some people that were ready for Tommy to go were now kind of open to being like, all right, Hartman's here. Does that change things? Now we got a guy that's nationally recognized as being an upper echelon quarterback. Now maybe we'll see what Tommy has and unleash it. I was in that camp a little bit of, all right, I have my questions about Tommy because in the biggest games, the offense can never compete. And that's a big problem. And it still is. But I was excited to maybe see what he could do with a bigger arm quarterback. And maybe that would be something different. And we'd see more out of him that the bigger picture people see, but we can't because the personnel at Notre Dame, I don't know. So there's just a lot here with this. There's just a lot here. All right, phone lines. I'm going to get through my thing, give you guys some time. It's being reported they offered around $2 million. I think he was making, 1.5 at Notre Dame. This money's monopoly money at this point. It's just monopoly money at this point. Like it is, oh boy. $15 holler from Paul. Paul, I appreciate you. You keep the phone lines going, buddy. Good morning, John the Great. I don't know about that, but I appreciate the encouragement. Everybody, let's support John with some super chats. He deserves it. I'm telling you, Paul, makes a big difference. You just paid for the phone lines we're going to use today. Thank you. Thank you very much. What else do we have here? Mr. Hewtown, $500,000 raise, coach the best players in the game, chance to win a natty every year, and be set up by Saban for a future head coaching gig. I wouldn't blame him if he bolted. We're going to get into some of that. Brian Farmer, Notre Dame could win a national championship with the talent they have. Coaching will have to be perfect, and the players will have to progress. They need more talent than they have now to do that. So I'm gonna disagree with that. They need more talent than they have right now. But I do agree, whenever Notre Dame's in a window to really compete, it's still going to be a tight window. A lot of things need to line up for Notre Dame to make a title run that are tougher than at a lot of other places for a lot of reasons. So it's still going to have to be a magical good run. All right, what else do we have here? I just clicked something stupid and my whole screen lit up. Sorry. My hope is if Tommy leaves, MF gets a OC coach that has both NFL and coaching experience. I'm going to go over some of these names. Bob Alvey, Rees staying or leaving is not a concern. The perception that ND is a stepping stone to other college programs by making a lateral coaching move is a concern. Another thorn in the side of recruiting. I could argue it's not a lateral move. I could argue it's a better job. I could. The title's the same, but I could argue it's a better job. I could. And if you want to know why, how about number 1, 5-star talent everywhere to work with? How's that sound? For a guy who, where he's at, people like me complain nothing he does is good enough. How about going where there's 5-star talent everywhere and you're probably going to look good because there's 5-star talent everywhere? So I could argue that it's the same job title, but a step up. If Tommy Rees wants to move further into coaching in a more official capacity, who better to learn from? Marcus Freeman, who's still learning, kind of learning from Tommy in some ways, or Saban? There's no arguing that. There isn't. So I could say the title's the same. Learning under Saban's a big deal. A lot of guys want to go do that. The guys won a lot. It's good for the resume. So I could argue that it's the same job title, but it isn't a lateral move. I could argue that. You think, how is it a lateral move when you have better talent right away? You're in a championship hunt right away, and you're learning from the best coach that's done it, that's living. I don't see that as lateral. The title may be, but everything that comes along with it that can parlay into something next for Tommy, not lateral improvement. It hurts. I say that sadly, but I'm just being honest. Who wouldn't want to go run an offense with 5-star talent? You never have to worry. Can we run this? Can our guys run this? Don't have that worry at Alabama. You have 5-star guys, good offensive line every year. You don't have those concerns. It's a different way of life. A different way of life. Oh, see, here you go. You don't know what you have until you lose it. Here's the tough part of this. Even the people that are steadfastly pack his bags and leave, even before the season was over, whatever, pack his bags and leave. Some of that is they got to like the new guy. That's a part of this too. And I admit that when it's like, John, what do you think about this? I can't answer that yet because I got to know that I'm going to like who they hire. And if I liked who they hire and I thought it was more creative and an upgrade, then I'm going to like it. And if they hire some lame retread that doesn't excite anybody and isn't a good recruiter, then I'm not going to like it. It was like when Kelly left. When Kelly left that night, I went live and I got asked, do you like this or not? And I said, I like it if they hire the guy I want to replace him. But there's a lot of guys they could hire that'd be the same as Brian Kelly or worse to me, and then I wouldn't like it. No offense. Luke Fickell and Brian Kelly to me are the same guy. Like, they're going to get you to a certain level, but not any higher. They don't electrocute the room with their personality, light it up. Like, no, that's the same guy to me almost. Like, this is just tough. It's just tough. Here's the other thing people are bringing up. The other thing people are bringing up is, what is the reason Hartman can't just leave and go with Rees down to Alabama now? I'm pretty sure there's nothing stopping that. I don't know how much of this had to do with Notre Dame because of Notre Dame or just working with Rees. But I've been reading tweets this morning already of people saying Hartman doesn't have to stay at Notre Dame. He could just pick up and leave and go to Alabama for a year. So that's something interesting. Oh, boy. Fox Sports, Joe Clack claiming ND's making plans to set up OC interviews, that they don't expect Rees to return. NDS concerned Tyler Buckner would be the one to transfer with Rees to Alabama. Interesting. That would be very, very interesting. So you would have Hartman, but you could lose Buckner. That's interesting. What does Tyler Buckner look like in an Alabama quarterback room? That's another question I have. Oh, boy. Tommy may not ever want to go. Freeman and staff are trying to keep Buckner from leaving. We all knew this was going to get tough. Here, I missed the super chat. How rude of me. Let's go. Good to see everybody. Brandon Fry, Steven, the Heart Foundation, CMAC, Mark, Brian. Good to see all you guys. Oh, good morning. V1 Rotate. Good to see you. Bruce, the format. Here we go. Morning, team. This situation speaks to Rees being very highly viewed. I guarantee that if he goes to Bama, he will look like the genius people think he is. Fine, but it didn't happen here. Like, I keep coming back to that. He can look like the best offensive coordinator in the world for Alabama. Never saw it here. And again, why? It's complicated. I have no doubt he's going to look good down there. It's 5-star talent and a good offensive line. You should look good down there. Whatever you draw up, it's going to look pretty good down there. But the problem was, I keep coming back to it. When Rees was offensive coordinator and we were playing our biggest game of the year with everything on the line, the offense was never good enough. And I'm not saying it was all his fault, but it was the fact. And he's a part of it. Nobody knows how much. I don't know. Maybe he was just stuck with the recruits the other guys got. Whatever. I don't know. But nobody can tell me when we were in our biggest game with it all on the line, Tommy's offense was the reason we won the game or stayed close in a game we weren't going to win. No, that never happened. And I have a problem with it. And there's a lot of reasons why. I'm not saying it was all him. But nobody's telling me our offense was a big boy playoff game winning offense with Rees running it. We could debate why, but it just wasn't that. For whatever reason, it wasn't that. And that's what I need. I was hopeful with Hartman and the good quarterback recruiting Rees has been doing that would change, and the increase with the wide receivers, the new guys there, all of that. So I was open to seeing that, but I'm not acting like I've seen enough that if Rees goes to Alabama, I'm crying myself to sleep tonight. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Biggest games of the year, the playoff games, whatever, the offense lets us down. Not all his fault, but a fact. So there's no way I'm crying if he leaves. And if he stays, fine. I'm excited to see him work with Hartman and these young guys, and the recruiting seems to be trending up. So if he stays, I'm excited to see him work with more talent. If he leaves, you look at it as Notre Dame's ready to get new eyes on the offense, and it might be better for Tommy to get out of the shadow of the dome and Kelly and everything else and go spread his wings. And if you were going to leave Notre Dame and go somewhere to learn under something, going where there's 5-star talent, 7 recent championships in the case, and a guy who's respected as a wizard who is the genius of all college football in the modern era, you may as well go work for him. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Beatsville, $5 holler from Beatsville. Good to see you again. Hope you and the family are doing well. $1.99 Bryan, New York. Thank you. You don't break up with me. I break up with you. There you go. I don't like you anymore. Oh, boy. What else do we have? Uncle Fred. Losing to Marshall, Stanford barely beating Cal isn't winning a lot. But even there's more than just that year that Tommy Rees has been offensive coordinator. So I'm including the other years where we had really good 10-2 or better years, but always got held up in the biggest moments, right? Like, sorry, but Cincinnati at home was Kelly's toughest game his last year. Couldn't find a way to win that one. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Get serious. Look at the schedules we have now. Kelly's toughest game is last Cincinnati at home. Couldn't pull it off. Get real. Get serious. Oh, boy. Let's see. $1.99, Steven. Glad to see you here. Saban sees something. Yeah, good for him. Happy for him. John, you have to put it on the players as well. I mean, Tommy can call the plays, but the players have to make the plays. That's obviously true. Talent's talent, though. Give me more talented players. They're going to make more plays. I'm sorry. The talent, especially in the quarterback room, has been nowhere near good enough by 100%. Like, it's changed now, but I'm talking about the body of work as Rees as quarterback, as offensive coordinator and quarterback guy. Nowhere near good enough. And he's a part of that, but a lot of it was Kelly. That's where this gets tough. The parts you don't like about Rees and the offense, what I'm struggling with is the complaints that I have or we have. I can't figure out how much of it is on Tommy to blame that's fair or not. That's why this is so tricky. There's so many ingredients in there. Old recruiting from Kelly that Rees had nothing to do with, but he's got to make it work with those players. That's not Rees's fault. But you're also not able to score against Alabama enough to even compete in a playoff game. So it's like, is that his fault or not? Kind of yes and kind of no. So that's where you're in the middle here. That's where you're in the middle here. Chris Totten, good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, boy. Well, look at this. Joe Klatt said Bama's offered Tommy Rees $3 million, making him the highest paid coordinator in college football. It was $2 million a half hour ago. Did it just go up to $3 million? I do not have it in me to sit here and act like I'm sad. Or like, I don't know what people expect. Here's the answer. If he stays, which seems unlikely, if he stays, you're excited to see him work with better talent and you like the relationships he's built with these quarterbacks. If he leaves, look at it this way. It's opportunity. And there's risk in that. You know, it's like you knew what you were going to get with Tommy. You don't know with the new guy. I get that. There's also the option that it could be better. Anybody ever think about what it'd be like to have modern, non-Notre Dame eyes on the Notre Dame offense? Has anybody ever honestly thought about that? that it might benefit us to have a non-Notre Dame person come in here and look at our football team and the offense. I might be open to that. Totally new eyes. Say, look at this talent we got. We could do this different, do that different, do that different. We're all asking for a modernization of Notre Dame football and Notre Dame's offense. Perhaps this is just a part of it. Maybe it is. And again, I keep saying, maybe this is the best thing for Tommy Rees personally and professionally, to go somewhere else. He's lived under the shadow of this dome since he was 17 years old for most of that time. He had 1 or 2 years as a grad assistant at Northwestern and then in the NFL, I think, 1 year each. Most of this kid's life since 17 has been under the shadow of the dome and then under the weight of the shadow of Swamp Thing. Maybe it'd be good for him to get away from that. And if you were going to do it, Alabama's a good landing spot. But I couldn't blame the guy if he was looking for something different. Also, I feel like I know the way Rees thinks a little bit. He has little axes to grind. You could catch little things from him on Twitter and in these press conferences. Rees has an ego and has some little axes to grind that he does kind of low key or under the radar, grind some of those axes, and he'll say little things you could catch on to and reference that let you know he knows what's being talked about and written by people like me in both the paper and digital, which I do. You could see some of that. What a great way to stick it to everybody like me than to go to Alabama with 5-star talent, light it up, and be able to give the middle finger to a guy like me and be like, oh, you didn't think I was creative? Look at this. I'm telling you, there might be a little part of that. Yeah, 2 to 3 million obviously helps too. But adding in the plus column of this for Rees would be him thinking, I am not going to be limited by the talent we have, whether it's his fault or not, of recruiting more of it. But he might be thinking, I can go light it up, shut all those Notre Dame people up that didn't like me and whatever, and then I'll put up all these numbers and they won't be able to say I'm not good at my job. He could go ahead and do that. The problem is, even if he did that at Alabama, it doesn't fix the issue that we weren't playing championship offense here. It's similar to Kelly when they're talking about how Kelly is recruiting down there. Down there has nothing to do with what he was not doing here. It's different circumstances, different way of operating. Totally different. So even if Rees lights it up for Saban, people are going to say, oh, John, you said he wasn't getting it done in Notre Dame. Look at this. At Notre Dame, he wasn't. For whatever reason. Talent, all around talent, quarterback, whatever it was. We didn't get it here, just like we never got the recruiting we needed here under Kelly. Doesn't matter what he does after. We weren't getting it here. So I don't know. Let's get through these chats. I got a couple more bullet points. We're going to the calls. There's a lot of people. Good to see you all here. I can't get to all these with the phone lines bumping. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. So here's the next part of this. Recruiting and what happens. Can Hartman just up and leave? Is that in the cards? I don't know. That would be something. If that would really be something if Rees left and then took Hartman with him. You want to talk about nothing's boring at Notre Dame. I don't know how realistic that is or not. But then the next question is, what about recruiting? All right. What about recruiting? What about these quarterbacks, CJ Carr? What's going to happen with all? I don't know. I have no idea. That's where you start hoping 4 for 40 comes into play, and these guys actually want to be at Notre Dame and or like the new guy and the new guy's vision. Okay? But this isn't like a Notre Dame thing. Guys do this all the time. It's college football. Guys move around all the time now. You know what? I'm glad I brought that up. I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this. My brother's here. Good to see you, Andrew, in sunny Florida. 0 degrees here. How was it in Florida on the beach? So does this mean MF is actively engaging possible replacement? Yeah, it does. I understand that to be the case. Yes. Yep. That's what I think. Here we go. And here's what I was going to say. I've been seeing a lot of tweets this morning saying this is a really bad look on Notre Dame to be losing one of your coordinators and you're showing you're a stepping stone and it's very embarrassing. I don't see it that way at all. You gotta, that is an aged opinion. In modern college football, these guys move around all the time, jumping job to job for the next best opportunity or more money. It is not gauged like that. Now, if he left Notre Dame to go to Wisconsin or Iowa or Nebraska or somewhere like level to Notre Dame, I think that's a bad look. But going to Alabama, nobody could say that's a bad look. You have more talent to work with. You're learning from the best coach doing it, and you're in the championship hunt every year, and you're going to make $2 to $3 million a year. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to like with that offer, okay? But I don't look at it as a bad look on Notre Dame. They can't keep anybody, blah, blah, blah. If anything, you could look at it the other way, that you should be glad Notre Dame has coaches other good programs want. That tells you Notre Dame's hiring well. So you could look at it that way. But this isn't 50 years ago. I don't look at it as like some huge Notre Dame failure if a guy goes to a program that's been more successful than ours. It's not a lateral move in that case. On paper, it's a lateral move. In practicality, it is not a lateral move for all the reasons we just talked about. People don't want to hear that, but it's true. It's true. Brian, thanks a lot, 199. So we get Brian Hartline in here, right? Let's go. Here's the deal. I would absolutely love Brian Hartline to Notre Dame. The problem is Freeman's already tried that 2 different times. Hartline, I believe, just got a raise and a promotion at Ohio State. And my thought is that Hartline might be in line if Day goes to the NFL or gets tired of the pressure at Ohio State or whatever. I think an idea would be for Hartline to go in there. He's a dynamite recruiter. Brian Hartline is a plus 10 out of 10 recruiter. Freeman has tried to approach him multiple times and pry him away. The issue is, if that's a guy that has future head coaching ideas, you don't want to go and be under Freeman because you're not going to get that job there because Freeman's just starting. So I don't know. But yeah, that'd be a home run. Yeah, Hartline would be amazing. He's a terrific recruiter, one of the best in the country. All right, let's get caught up. All right, we're caught up here. Here we go. Greg, I'm still in shock about Tommy Rees getting an interview from Saban. He's a genius. Everybody knows it but me. Everybody sees it but me. I just can't. The disconnect between hearing how awesome he is and us not seeing a good offense that's exciting and modern and can keep up with the best teams doesn't. I have trouble in my simple Irish mind making that make sense. I see that our offense is nowhere near good enough to compete nationally. But everybody wants him and says he's a genius. Something's got to give. What am I not getting? What am I not getting? Where is the disconnect? I don't understand. Are all the people that are in love with everything Rees does, like, are they all so understanding that they can see the limitations roster-wise Rees's work? Like, are we dealing with, phones are next, I promise. Are we dealing with a situation where those looking at this are so football intelligent, they can look at the offenses Notre Dame's been running with Rees, and they were able to see, all right, I know he doesn't have the talent, but here's what he would have wanted to do. Or if he had a quarterback, here's what they were setting up. Like, maybe we're looking at that level of analyzing this that I'm not capable of, that makes some of those people like him more than John Q fan or John Dummy in his basement on a Friday morning see. I'm open to that. But again, I'm not crying if a guy isn't coaching here that I never saw good enough results from consistently enough. Bring up how many points we scored overall and all that. Fine. You know what I'm saying, right? When we start playing the best teams are in a playoff, the offense can't compete at all. You just can't compete. So I'm in the middle here. Somebody make that make sense. All right. Is there anything else in my notes? Then we're going to the phones. People want to get their opinion heard. And it's all out, it's all over the board. Okay, what do we got? One more here. Who do we have to replace him? I want to cover this before we get into it. Go over some names real quick. And then we'll get to the phones. I know I lied, I promise. Here's the deal. If this is going down and Tommy does leave, it's a big hire for Marcus. It's a big hire. You're going to have to worry about the recruiting and those relationships and make sure those people all want to stay at Notre Dame. That's still going to be an issue. You're going to have to navigate, just like with any coaching change. But it's a really big hire because we're trying to get serious, raise the offensive ceiling, get more talent in here, modernize. Like, this is a big deal. And I'm not trying to over-exaggerate or to make it a bigger deal than it is. But the timing of this would be huge. The timing of this would be huge because Freeman's through year one. We're starting to calibrate, flip the talent a little bit, and do all that. So this is a key period. All right. So if we're going on this path, it's got to be a good hire. What do we have here? Michael Campbell. Rees is in charge of more than drawing up play calls. His game day play calling is always mediocre in big games, and he's the QB coach, QB recruiter. Who's your favorite you've seen play? Good question. What is everybody yelling at Fred for? I don't know. I missed what he said, but he made people mad. Manny, I have never heard a realistic ND fan be upset with Rees leaving. I just haven't seen enough out of our offense that I am going to cry about it. I'm just not, man. Maybe some fresh eyes would be good. Fresh eyes would be good. Here's the other thing. Let him go down to Alabama and beat Kelly at LSU. I'd be a fan. I would root for that. Alabama, LSU with Rees as the offensive coordinator. I hope he puts up 80 points against Swamp Thing down there. Oh, my God. That's funny. Here we go. Let's go over some candidates. I saw my boss over at Irish Wire, Fighting Irish Wire, managing editor Nick Shepkowski. That's my direct boss. Right away on the ball. We're all over it, folks. Yesterday, right away, he put out like 9 or 10 options, names that are popular that are out there. Some people are going to like them. Some aren't. A lot of them, I bet you regular Notre Dame fans have never even heard of. Go over some of them. Phil Longo, Wisconsin. Ryan Grubb, Washington. Ludwig, Utah. Trickett, Marshall. Who's going to make fun of the Marshall offensive coordinator? Beat Notre Dame at home on a sunny day. Different Mike Shanahan. Not any of the Mike Shanahans you know at James Madison. How about this name, guys? I'm going to make some people spit out their coffee. How about this? Charlie Weiss Jr. You want to talk about going from one Notre Dame legacy, like Notre Dame shadow thing over to another. You'd be going from Tommy Rees in that shadow to Charlie Weiss's kid. If you're my age, you'll remember him shadowing Charlie Sr. up and down the sideline, holding that cord. The boys all growing up, and he's at Ole Miss with Lane. How about Joe Brady at the Bills? That's a name. Joe Brady. How about Byron Leftwich, currently unemployed, I believe. Lebby, Oklahoma. Go get Kingsbury. Go get good-looking Kingsbury. Look, all the best-looking coaches got to come to Notre Dame. You got Freeman. Get Kingsbury in here. We're looking good. Walrus Jr., that's a good one. Go get Eric Bieniemy. Like, I don't know what's realistic. And I don't know what Marcus is targeting. I do know this, though. You better be doing it right now. You better be doing it yesterday. Like, you better be working those recruits. You better be working your phones and your network. It can't be rushed, but you got to figure it out. It has to be good. Why is somebody saying Golden is leaving too? What, is he going to Alabama too? That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. Haven't heard that one at all. All right. I am pretty much caught up on where I wanted to go with this. Very divisive topic. I'm going to get to the phones. There's kind of a bunch of calls, so I'm going to have to speed people up a little bit, okay? Is Golden really leaving? Where to? Again, I'm not on Twitter. I have to have my phone on to hook up to the phone connection. Rumors that Golden is going to the NFL. Looks like we're going to have a whole new staff, folks. Here we go. Let's take some calls. What do you think about this? 219, you're on the line on a Friday. What's going down?
John, how crazy is ND world?
I'm telling you, I say all the time, man, there's never a boring day. It doesn't matter what time of year, it doesn't matter. There's always something. What do you make of this? Would you be sad? Would you be glad? Would you be sad if it was a lower level program, but because it's Bama, you get it? Where are you at on this? Very divisive topic.
Yeah, I know you say it's divisive, but can we be somewhere in the middle on this? That's kind of where I am.
Yep. No, listen, here's the thing, man. No one likes that though. It's like politics. They want you all on the right or all on the left, and being reasonably in the middle is not a popular place to exist. That's kind of where I'm at. If he comes back, I'm excited to see him work with Hartman and better talent. And if he doesn't, I'm excited to get new eyes on the offense and maybe it'll look modern. Why is that not a fair position?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm guilty. I'll admit it. I'm guilty. In the heat of the emotions of while the game's going on, I feel like Tommy. There's like half the game you'll see him and you're like, oh man, Tommy's really he's on a roll. He's awesome. And then there'll be another half where you're like, oh, I hate him. I don't think he's any good. So like, I'm like in between on him.
But, wait. Adam, let me ask you this. I got up early before the show. I wanted to read a bunch of tweets in our tweet circle of this to get a feel of things. A lot of people are saying it's a bad look for Notre Dame to lose a guy like this. I think if it was to a lower level program than Notre Dame, I would entertain that, but I don't when it's Alabama. I don't. You could have the same title. Looks like a promotion to me, given all the details. Am I off on that?
No, you're not off. And if your coordinators are good, and that's what brings me back. He is good. I overreact. I admit it. He's good. And if they're good, other people are going to come for them.
Yeah.
The NFL, head coaching job. If nobody wants them, then you should maybe look at your coordinator.
But Adam, the thing is, the most excited I've been to see a Rees Notre Dame offense is what we were going to see next, because I'm excited about the quarterback room. I'm excited about the new wide receiver talent. And like, if ever there was a time I wanted to see this, it was now, because the talent's getting better. And to think that we're not going to have that is the frustrating part to me, because I really want to get a final answer. Now we have better talent. Let's see what he could do. And then do you worry about recruiting? Do you worry about Hartman leaving with them? Those relationships? Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, you're right on all that. Like we've been talking for 2 years, really. We thought maybe BK was holding them down, and we've been talking for 2 years. Is he the reason the quarterback recruits? He's been recruiting quarterbacks for 4 years. And we wanted to see, because we knew the talent was getting better. So we wanted to really get that answer on him.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, man. You know this. You're around Notre Dame a lot. You're a Notre Dame family with a relative who played there, season ticket holder. You're well connected to all the Notre Dameness. Dude, would it not be, if you were Tommy, maybe you just want to get out of the shadow of Notre Dame you've been living under, and all that pressure and all the Notre Dameness. At some point, I could see it being a little suffocating when you're not the head guy. When you're not the head guy that can actually make big changes you want. It's an awkward position. Maybe the guy just wants a fresh start, not of Notre Dameness. And there'd be nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to, it's all what he wants. I mean, the Saban coordinators do have a proven track record of being head coaches or going to the NFL. If
Dude,
that's what he wants.
Adam, I got this Uncle Fred in the chat, which I think is one of the guys I banned the last couple weeks who changed his name because it has a new name now. And it says the damn wheels are falling off the program. Bro, in no world is losing Tommy Rees as a player or a coach the wheels falling off. It's just not. In no world ever am I going to say the wheels are falling off because Tommy Rees is leaving. No, settle down, Fred. It ain't that big of a deal. Settle down. Sorry, Adam.
I guess at the end of the day, John, I think we just need to relax. I think we'll be fine. And if he leaves, he leaves.
Adam, I got the new offense. I got a new offensive coordinator guy. He's recently available. Let me give you this name. See what you think. Tom Brady. Bring him in. Recently available, baby. Light it up. Light it up, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, he's available. He's available, and he wants to, I'm sure he wants to stay around football. But Adam, is it like when I did the show the night Kelly left for LSU, and the question was, do you like this or not? My answer was, I don't know yet. Let me see who we hire. I have to have both sides of the equation to know, because Kelly wasn't like Weiss terrible, where you had to fire him like you had to. So it was like, well, I don't hate the guy, but he's not doing what it takes to win playoff games either. I kind of wanted to know both ends of the equation to give a response, but that's kind of cheap too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I'm with you, John. I'm not losing any sleep if he comes or goes. The only way I'll be really mad that he left is if we lose some recruits over it.
Yeah, and
start losing recruits over it.
Here's what all right. Now let me take that a step further. That is a very relevant concern, especially with the quarterbacks. Very relevant concern. However, if Freeman hired a guy that would really modernize the offense, use our guys differently and all this stuff, and we get more modern, that is a net benefit than 1 year of rough recruiting or losing a guy you really wanted. If the new guy ends up being good and having new eyes on the offense and it's modern, you could end up way ahead, but there's also risk that it could bomb. It would be a big hire, Adam. I don't want to overdo it. It'd be a big hire. You're trying to get modern. Your talent's getting better. It would be a huge hire.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator is the biggest hire for Marcus Freeman. 100%. It has to be somebody that's good. And I think Tommy was good. But if he chooses to leave, we'll just have to trust Marcus on finding another guy.
Yeah.
Coordinators leave all the time. Clemson was like the outlier. Like, for their coordinators to stay there that long was crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
they did.
And they finally left, and
they're loyal.
John, I was looking up some stats and stuff this morning, and if we look, we were averaging to be about like the 30th best offense in the country under Rees. So, and I know we're debating, is that, you know, our talent wasn't there, but was it him or the talent? All that? But that's the fact. We were about 30th offense.
Yeah, I don't know, man. People see things in him I just don't see on Saturdays, and I guess that's a good thing for him. I don't know, man. But
that's why we wanted to see this talent pick up to really see with him. But you know, it's. I would just say to the Irish faithful, guys, don't lose sleep over it. Marcus will figure it out.
Yeah, I can't. You know me. I run really hot. And I just can't get that worked up over it. If he stays, I'm excited to see him work with better talent. If he goes, I'll be excited about the opportunity to see a more modern Notre Dame offense for the first time in 25 years. So I'll be fine either way. The only negative would be if it really ripped recruiting. He took a couple guys with him. CJ Carr, I really loved him, and now I don't know if I want to go here. Then you kind of have an issue. You just got to try and avoid that.
Yeah, as long as the recruiting stays intact, I trust Marcus to find another guy. But who knows? Tommy might stay. He might go back to father.
And you know what else, Adam? You know what else too? I hold no ill will to Tommy. Like I want him to go live his career and do whatever he wants to do. And he's a Notre Dame guy. Like, I have no hard feelings. If he leaves, I hope he does good because he's a Notre Dame guy who wanted to be a part of Notre Dame for like 20 years. So, like, good for him. I have no hard feelings. It's just for whatever reason, no offense he was in control of was capable of even being close to winning a playoff game. I do not like that.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like under Tommy, it always looked like it was so hard for us to score. It never looked easy.
Nope.
That would be my.
Everything was pulling teeth, man.
10-play drive down we never were explosive. But once again, I have no problem with. I don't want him gone. I have no problem with him staying.
Yeah,
I'll be perfectly happy with him being the offense coordinator. But if he leaves, he leaves. But the timing's kind of bad,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right about that. But I agree with you, though. I agree with you. I think I'm fine either way, and it's just not a very popular spot. If we were dealing with a quarterback room that was still woefully deficient, my opinion would be different. I'd be saying, see you later. I'm ready to see something else. But the fact that the talent's better all over the offense, I was genuinely excited to see him work with that. And if it doesn't work out, the next guy's going to work with it. Fine.
Yeah. We
So,
all wanted. The
I
talent
don't know.
was getting better. We were all giving them a little break because we knew the skill position talent was not there. We all knew that.
Yeah.
And so everyone was kind of like, okay, let's wait. Let's get a real quarterback in here. Let's get some receivers. And it's getting to that point. So that's why it's kind of sad that he would leave right when it's getting to that point. But if he does, he does. Like, no hard feelings. We'll find a new guy.
Yep. And really, Adam, if he left and it was like Wisconsin or Iowa or Nebraska or something, I'd be going, dude, something's going on at Notre Dame that people want to get out of here. Alabama's a tough one to argue against. You want to go learn? Think about it, Adam. You go learn under the best guy living that's doing it, or you work for Freeman and you kind of teach him a little bit as you both learn more together. Like, it's just a totally different world. Totally different world.
It is
totally.
Well, it is a different world this way too, John. You say that he kind of, makes some comments on Twitter and stuff like he knows what we're saying about him. How do you think Tommy Boy's going to react when Saban's chewing his ass on national TV? And when that fan base has no loyalty to him, they will
do your effing job. Do your job all over again.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But
I just saw a shirt. What you were talking on Twitter, I just saw a shirt come up that said, "Finish your fucking job." I was laughing.
There you go. Adam, don't lose any sleep over it. Drink a couple Miller Lights tonight. Put your little head on the pillow and believe Marcus will figure it out.
I'm not, John. Hey, thanks for having me on. And hey, everybody, just relax. Trust Marcus. He'll figure it out. It'll be okay.
There you go. Have a good weekend, buddy. We'll see you.
You too.
Later. Bye. All right. We got a bunch more phone calls coming up. I'm going to hit a comment or two. Brian Farmer says, if Rees goes to Alabama and wins, does that mean Notre Dame is that far behind with money and development? No further behind than they were the last 15 years with Alabama. Like, really far behind in terms of money and development of Alabama? Yeah, 100% behind. 9 5-stars in a class to 0. 100% behind. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Like, I didn't need this to happen to know that Notre Dame was this far behind with money and development of Alabama. I already know that. I didn't need this. I already knew it. And I already don't like it. And it's already sad. Oh, Brian, you're awesome. Thanks for being here. 999 with the Shamrock thumbs up. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Everybody's on Fred. I'm telling you, Fred's got to be one of those guys that I banned and then he changed his username and he's back. Because I get the only ones who troll are the new accounts that I haven't noticed being here before, which tells me something's going on. So I think when somebody says that I have my energy because I'm clearly ripping lines on the table behind the set and I have to ban them because I can't allow people to say I'm doing drugs on my own show publicly, then you just go create a new account. Or when the racial stuff comes out or some of the other things that we're not going to on this show, trying to keep it family friendly here. Give me a break. Oh, all right. We are good to go. Back to the phone lines, 937. What are your thoughts on this dynamic?
Hey, John. I'm a Buckeye fan. I called in earlier in the year a few times, and I thought I'd give you a call back. Dynamic-wise, a little different than I never really thought this would happen, that Alabama would go after Tommy Rees, which makes me kind of wonder, about Tommy Rees and if he really is better than I thought he was. But for him, if I was him, and if this is real, see, that's the other question is this real? I remember Ohio State basketball coach Chris Holtman. He's been terrible this year. Last year, he won like one game in the NCAA tournament, and his agent came out and said he had offers from this place and this place. And so Gene Smith decided to sign him to 2 more years. You got to be kidding me. But it's so you always wonder if this is somewhat agent played, which is one thing. But if it's real, I think if I was him, I would take the job, because it does seem like everybody that goes there lands in a great position. Very few ever fail. But my one question would be, if he does go, who do you got? And I think the guy from Wake Forest, you would have to give him a buzz. I mean, you don't want the new quarterback to come in.
But wait. I thought it was the opposite of that. I thought a part of why Hartman came to Notre Dame was to get out of that Wake Forest slow mesh offense and go play in a more NFL type system. So I thought that's a part of why you wanted to get out of there, to go play in a more NFL style structure to boost his draft stock. So I don't know if that would work, because I think that's a part of what he wanted to get away from.
I don't know. I just know that when I watched them play against Clemson, now Clemson wasn't great, but they scored like 40 plus points. And
now, can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? Here's why I like talking to you. Here's why I like talking to you. Number one is, you're not a Notre Dame fan. And I think it's very healthy and important that this show has some outside, more neutral voices. And I assume that if you absolutely hated Notre Dame 100%, like a bunch of people do, you wouldn't be engaged here in calling me. So being more neutral with Notre Dame, do you look at this as like, oh, that's a bad look for Notre Dame, stepping stone job, whatever? Or is it just like Alabama OC is a different job than OC pretty much everywhere else? I don't judge anybody for looking at this, or that it means Notre Dame's doing something wrong and not good enough. I don't feel that way as a Notre Dame fan. How do you look at this on the outside of what it would mean for Notre Dame?
No, the only thing, this is the two things I would say. I would say if he went to Wisconsin, or if he went to like a level spot, then what what I thought about him and what a lot of people at Notre Dame thought about him would have been true, that he wasn't that good. Honestly, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
And I would say if he did make that move, then Notre Dame would already have the guy lined up in order to make the move happen. You know what I'm saying? My question is, with this move, isn't necessarily a bad look for Notre Dame. It's just, who do you have now? Because this is kind of came out of nowhere in order to backfill his position. And unfortunately, it's like we're already in February. They're going to be starting spring practices soon.
Yeah.
If you look at the schedule, you got 6 months now to figure out an offense.
Yeah, you're right. The timing on a lot of this stuff is tricky for Notre Dame. Even with Kelly, the switch from Kelly to Freeman, the timing on that was rough. The way Kelly left and the time of year was and all that. So I don't know. People want Ohio State guys. Isn't Hartline trying to be in line to be the next head coach if Day leaves? Everybody wants Hartline at Notre Dame, and he knows Freeman, obviously. I think they're grooming Hartman to take over that job if Day leaves, and he's one of the best recruiters in America, and he's young. I love everything about him. What's the plan there?
So Hartline has been moved over to offensive coordinator. So at this point, he would not probably take the Notre Dame job, because that would be basically a level move.
Yeah.
But he, I think maybe they're grooming him for that. I think
What's the
I'm
deal
not,
with
I'm
Tony
not
Alford?
100%
What's the
sold
deal
yet.
with Alford?
With Tony Alford?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think he's underperformed as far as getting top talent. I mean, we have Trey Henderson, but he hasn't done very well at the college
I'm
level,
telling
in my
you,
opinion.
you may remember he was on Kelly's staff before he jumped over, and we loved the way he recruited at Notre Dame. Like, as far as a Brian Kelly staff went, Alford was the best recruiter on that staff by a mile. That's why I bring it up, because he does have a history here.
Yeah.
And he was a good recruiter under Kelly. He really was.
When I talk to the Bucknuts guys, they really like him. My only thing is, and I think this is one of the main reasons why I called it, is that you and I were sharing 1 and 2 last July in the recruiting rankings. And you look today, Ohio State fell all the way to 5th. Notre Dame's, depending if you include the transfers or not, they're 10 or 11 on 247. And it's like, well, if this is how it's going to go from this point on, it really with the whole NIL thing, it's really going to hinder the northern schools. And I think I've mentioned this before. It's just because our donors like their names on buildings. They don't necessarily care if they don't really necessarily care about the players. They care more about getting their names on buildings, getting their names, out there for big checks.
There's a lot of that at Notre Dame. If you come to the game you come to the game, every time I pull into campus, I go, there's a new $1 billion building that wasn't here a month ago. Oh, there's a new construction site. There's a new, you're right about that.
And so if you look at like the last 3 years of Notre Dame, and you look at the last 3 years of Ohio State too, this is the worst year as far as ranking that they've been in the last 3 years. So it's kind of interesting. We started out so hot, but this whole thing collapsed, I would say, basically in August. There were several recruits that were supposed to go, I think, Notre Dame or Ohio State's way, and they went completely a different direction, and it was all due to NIL money. So it'll be interesting to see how this ends up in a year or two. But, so if I'm Tommy and you see that, hey, they're willing to pay me $3 million and they're obviously paying recruits down there big money. They got 9 of the top 32 players. I mean, that's got to be historic.
You know what Saban said? You know what Saban said the other day? I saw this on Twitter. Saban was saying, a guy asked for this much money and I told it for NIL and he said, we don't do that here, or we're not the place for you or whatever. And I got texted by a few people and they were asking, is this guy full of crap saying that they're not doing this NIL or what? And I said, he's not full of crap that they're not doing NIL. And the guy goes, really? And I said, yeah, general payroll that's been going on 20 years doesn't count as NIL. That's something totally different. General football payroll has been going on 20-something years down there. It isn't NIL. It's the general payroll. It's a whole different funnel. It's a whole different funnel. Look into Bear Bryant Jr.'s bank system. Anybody interested in NCAA, look into Bear Bryant Jr.'s banking system. You might find some interesting money transactions getting brought in and cleaned out the back end, but nobody wants to look at it because Saban's Saban.
Yeah, their alumni base is used to paying players. They've been doing it for, decades. So,
give me a break. It's a joke.
That's all I got to say. Our players get a few free tattoos in the whole world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. You know what, man? Dude, how mad is Tressel now looking at everything going on? And he's like, dude, they nailed me for like a chain and a few tattoos. Give me a break. Look at all this.
It wasn't even trade. They sold the jewelry of their Big Ten rings, and it wasn't even an even trade. Those rings are worth way more than a tattoo.
Yeah, dude, it was such a joke. He's got to be so frustrated. Like, man, nobody would even, their blood pressure wouldn't rise 1 point off this stuff now. So I don't know, man. It's interesting. It's never boring with Notre Dame, but I do think you're on to something thinking about this in terms of northern schools still trying to compete nationally with everything going on in warm weather areas, whether it be, USC, Southern Cal, and then everything down south. You do have a good I like the way you think of that. Like, how can Northern powers try and compete with all that? And Ohio State's, right in the top of that list. Notre Dame is. And even though Michigan doesn't recruit great, they win the Big Ten apparently, but they're never going to recruit great because everybody thinks the coach is a weirdo who's going to leave. So they're never going to.
They're getting transfers.
Yeah.
They're getting that. That's where their bread and butter right now is getting transfers. Look at their recruiting rankings; they're terrible, but they have one of the top transfer. And maybe that's how the Northern schools compete now. Is we can't get the recruits because we're not going to pay kids that are in high school, but we'll pay kids that have actually produced on the field. I think that's maybe how you do it now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, my friend. And it's just college football is never boring. That's for sure. Thanks for the call, man.
One more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
James Laurinaitis, what's your thoughts on the move from him going from Notre Dame back to Ohio State?
I've been asked about that. I don't know. I don't know. And I've been asked about it. And then I asked my people, is there a story or something going on? I never really got an answer. I don't know what to make of it. Him and Marcus were friends. They have the Ohio State history. And then he came over. Now he's going back. I don't know what to think of it. I'm not worried about some espionage thing where he has all our secrets and he's going back to tell Ohio State before what is it, the 23rd of September, wherever it is. I don't really have an opinion on it. And it's not like he was an OC or a DC, so I'm not freaking out about it. I don't really have an opinion on it, and I have no information on a backstory either for kind of to give me some insight.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, John. Have a great Friday.
Hey, really good caller every time. Keep me on your line, man. Give me a call again. I like having some non-Notre Dame people that are reasonable. Great call. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
What a nice guy. I get some really nice people call this show. Let's see. Frank says some fans hated Rees during the season. Now there are some who hate him for leaving. This guy cannot win. The funny part is there's some of both. Like, I really want Rees to leave. But if you're going to say, I really want Rees to leave, fine. But you can't just say that without, like, I kind of got to know we're getting somebody I like other than him. And I know that's a cop-out, but I mean it. Same with Kelly. They weren't bad enough where it was like obvious you have to fire this guy or the program's in a dumpster. Like Charlie Weiss, like Brian Van Gorder on the defense. Obvious had to fires. Kelly and Rees weren't that. But for me to say I'm glad they're leaving, I needed to know I like the other guy better or there was more upside on the other guy. I don't know that right now with Rees. So that's why that's kind of tough for me. What else did I star here? Oh, what else? Frank says, John, this is great PR for ND. Your competitor is openly rating your staff. The SEC does this all the time. I am not in a position to be sitting here crying, acting like Notre Dame's horrible because Saban wants one of your guys. I don't see it that way. Look at it as a compliment, if anything else. And I'd feel a lot worse losing any of our coaches to anybody else if there was a trophy in the case. If there was a trophy in the case, I'd feel a lot worse. Like at the end, can it all just come down to that? There isn't one thing that was won with the last regime that I care about. Not one. Not one. Seriously, can this all just come home to roost there? In the entire last regime and everybody a part of it, we never won anything that I care about. Ever. Ever. Therefore, I'm not crying if somebody leaves that helped me win nothing. I know this is a major oversimplification, but it could come right back down to that. The Camping World Bowl is the most valuable trophy Kelly and company ever won. I am not crying if anybody involved with that leaves. I just can't bring myself to. Ugh. Nothing like getting frustrated on a Friday morning. $4.99 primetime 21. Is this Dion? What's up, Dion? $4.99. Thank you. Rees being wanted by Saban should be all people need to know about him. Yes and no. No, actually, it's the opposite. I appreciate the $5, and I appreciate you making me think. It's the opposite of this, though. Rees being wanted by Saban should be all people need to know about him. No, I needed to know he had an offense here that could win big games, is what I needed to know about him. That's what I needed to know about him. That's all I needed to know about him. Can he win big games here? Can we have a big boy offense here? Can we win a playoff game here? And the answer was always no. So Saban wanting him isn't all I needed to know about him. I needed to know we could have a big boy offense with him in charge of it here. And I never got that answer. The answer was no up until this new window to have Hartman and better quarterback and receiver talent. We were going to see how it was going to go. So all this, it's the opposite of this prime time. It's giving me more questions, not less. This is giving me more questions, not less. How could the best coach in the sport love this guy, but we couldn't find a way to be even competitive in a playoff game with him? Make that make sense. The only way it does is if you look at all that talent, say it wasn't his fault, he didn't have the ingredients to cook with, but I know his analytical brain could work. That's the answer. It's the only answer. Is that not the dynamic? Saban must be saying, I could see this guy's wheels turning and all what he wants to do, and it's all great. But he was at Notre Dame working with guys that are shaped like John. No wonder they couldn't do nothing. So this brings up more questions, not answers. The best coach in the sport loves our guy, but we couldn't have an offense to compete in any of our biggest games under him. Make it make sense. And if you want to bring up the numbers Notre Dame did have, and they ended up averaging 38 points. And look at how many games we've won overall since Rees was the offensive coordinator till now. We could do all that. But we're kind of past that point of bragging about loading up 40-something points against some dog opponent, and then it boosts the average and we all feel good. We're past that point. Notre Dame under Kelly, we're at that point where the only next step is how do you win a playoff game? The bar is really high. So I don't know. Now you got me all worked up. Unbelievable. 707, what do you make of this?
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi, this is Mike from California. First time calling. Hey, I appreciate the program you guys do, and I appreciate your tenacity on Notre Dame football and how emotional you get. It's pretty good.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hey, thanks for calling. Program the number, my friend. Thank you.
Worries. No worries. Yeah, so I've been watching Notre Dame football for 40 years, and I've seen them go up and down and change. There's a lot of personalities that come in and out of the program, but I think with Kelly was so lazy on recruiting, he just backed out and just said, I'm going to go to LSU, where it's a little bit easier for me to coach. I don't have to work as hard and yet win some games. So he's taking the easy path out and left Notre Dame in the position they're at. Marcus Freeman wants to come in. He wants to recruit. He wants to take this to the next level, which is awesome. Now, back to Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees, I think with him, he wants to go to NFL. And I think looking at his path to NFL, he's got to win the college football level. And right now, for Notre Dame to win, it's going to take him a few years to get to that echelon where Alabama is.
Yeah.
So I think in order for him to get to the NFL, he's got to go to Alabama, prove that the NFL that he can win at Alabama with those players, because Alabama is what, an NFL junior team. So if he can prove that he can win there, then he'll get hired in the NFL. And I think right now he's not getting hired in the NFL because he hasn't won at Notre Dame those big games.
Do you think that His dad was a lifelong NFLer. Do you think his dreams are ultimately NFL? Because I kind of do too. And like,
I think so. Because
yeah,
that's the ultimate. That's the epitome of football, And his dad was there, and I just think that's where he's going to go. He's not getting any younger, and he's won where he's been. I mean, he's done a good job at Notre Dame. I'm not going to count that out, but I think moving forward, looking at his own personal life, I think it's going to take a few years to get to that point at Notre Dame. So I think he wants to do it now. He wants to do it.
Yeah,
but he still has trouble winning those big games, though. When it comes down to big games, you got to learn to scheme, and he just has trouble scheming those big games, and that's Notre Dame's fault in those scheming.
Here's the issue I'm having. When I look back at the Notre Dame frustrations on offense, I have a very hard time being able to parse out a percentage and go, the offense wasn't near elite, and it's 50% Tommy's fault, 40%, 10%, 80%.
Yeah,
because there's too many ingredients that go in that stew with recruiting and development, and some of it was him having to cook with ingredients that he didn't buy and pick out. You know what I mean?
But look at if you go back and look at, like, let's go to the NFL. Let's look at Bill Walsh, right? He had 25 plays skewed in the beginning of the game. He didn't care what personnel he had, and these are plays that were run to show what the defense was going to do. Once he gets that down, he's like, all right, now I know how to work the game. And he works the defense the way he's going to work them. And that's how they were so successful. Tommy Rees, the first play of the game should have a quarterback keeper up the middle and get hit. Now you get hit. Next play should be a little dump pass off to the back, coming out of the backfield. Just a little dump pass. Now he gets into the rhythm. Now let's go play football. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks don't get in the rhythm until too late in the game. It's just the scheming. I don't like his scheming.
But, man, you know what's going to happen. If he goes to Alabama and he has all that 5-star talent everywhere and a great offensive line, and they start doing great, I'm going to have to deal with all these messages of Notre Dame people going, see what you could have had, and you wanted him wanted him gone.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one because everybody's going to say, oh, John, you wanted him gone. He only scored 50 points. We don't have an all 5-star roster to do that with.
To tell you the truth, if logic goes to go,
it's not the same.
I don't think he'll win. I don't think he'll win I don't know if he'll win that big game again. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go back on that. Yeah, he's not going to win if he goes to Alabama.
But I'm telling you, Saban only picks winners. Saban isn't picking no charity projects, so he must see something.
Yeah,
also,
but Notre Dame will get there. Notre Dame will get there.
Also,
Notre Dame will get there.
Also,
Notre Dame will get there too. And when they get there, they're going to be there for a long time, buddy.
Here's a question. I don't even know. Tommy Rees could have been Saban's 5th choice, and we just don't know about the other 4. We're only hearing about the one that affects us. I don't even know where he was at on Saban's list. He could have been 3rd or 4th or 5th, and everybody's acting like he's the number 1 all-star in the whole world. Everybody has to act.
Exactly. It could be number 1, number 100. I really don't care. It's just he went to the interview, and that's fine. Go for it. You got it. You can't fault the guy that's trying to improve his life, improve his family, improve what he wants to do.
Yep, I would never blame him for that. Do you have worries about this affecting the recruiting?
I can't yell at him for doing that. It is what it is, buddy. I mean, just let Notre Dame move on. He can't. His scheming comes down to it, and I think maybe he's got coaches there that can help him scheme better. I don't know, but Notre Dame is on the right path. I believe they're going to be studs in the next couple of years, and then watch out for them, man.
Are you worried about the recruiting, like the relationships Rees built, or do you think that could be quickly overcome with the competent new hire?
Yeah, that hurts a little bit. You lost the quarterbacks. You figure, Tommy, you got to have a little tighter relationship after so many months of that communication. You can't let a guy slip through at the last second like that. Got to be a little tighter on that. I mean, who knows? I guess I don't know, the relationship they had. It's just, you wish that wouldn't happen. It just looks bad on him. Then maybe it's not him, but that's what the optics are.
Yeah. And so it's going to be interesting. And you know what, though, man? What a wild run for Freeman starting his tenure. He has had a lot of big picture.
I know.
Dude, he has had big picture stuff thrown at him every turn. This guy he's going to age. Like, you ever see the picture of the presidents the day before they take office, and then 4 years later, it looks like they aged 20 years? Like, that's.
And what if you compare compare the president and then the Notre Dame pictures in 4 years and see what's better or worse? You know
what else you could do? You could compare my hairline before Kelly started to it after, and you can see the toll that it took.
Or you can do who has more wisdom now. who's better off in 4 years? Even though one's greater, who's better off? Who learned more? Who became a stronger person? Who has the better relationships in their life? Who has you almost want to have those challenges to make it better, to come back. The harder the challenges, the better the feeling's going to be when they're at top.
Yep. There you go.
It's
But I think we're trending up. The talent's trending up. But if this does if this goes down, it is a big hire, because the number one thing that we need to see is this offense find another gear, and the talent's going to be such that it will allow it. Who's going to be the architect of it? It's going to be a very important decision. Very important decision.
Dude, the talent is there. Notre Dame has the talent. Come on. Notre Dame has, dude, don't get those talent. They get the talent, man. I mean, it's just a hair, it's just a millimeter faster in a 40, just 1.001. It's like, come on, man. It's like, you guys are still studs. It's just like, you got to make them believe that they're going to go out there and win every weekend. You go out there and win. It's all in a matter of mindset. I mean, look at De La Salle in California. Would they win 160 games straight? You think they had the best players on the field every night for 165 wins? No, they just got it in their head that they're going to win. They go out there and they win. It's all a mindset. Kelly didn't know how to do that with the quarterbacks. They're just, you got to get them in psychology, and you got to get their brains going, and it's all just knowing you're going to win and go out there and doing it, buddy.
There you go.
That's
hey,
all.
Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. Call again anytime. Good thoughts, my friend. Enjoy your weekend.
All right. Good job, John.
Thanks. Take care. You. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Telling you, man, nice people call this show. Appreciate it. $5 holler from Paul. I have total faith in Freeman to bring in a top-notch OC. You can also recruit. I'm not worried if Tommy leaves. MF will come through. Well, there you go. Paul's got to figure it out. Shut it all down. Like it could be that simple. It could be that simple. But I'm a worrier. So until I get that guy and then we look at their history of what they run and how it goes, you're going to be nervous. And then we got a 199 here. No hard feelings, John. Love the debates. Me too. Like, I want people to understand that. I go off because when I get excited, good or bad, I go off. It's just what comes out. I'm not going at anybody as long as it's healthy and fair debate. I love the differences. That's what this is all about. This show would be pointless if everybody agreed with everything I said all the time. Not only would it be pointless, it'd be boring. Give me the differences. I love it. It's healthy. It's healthy. Thank you guys for the super chats. Here we go. 703, you're talking to me. Good morning.
Good morning, John.
What's going on, man? There's a lot of rumors in Notre Dame land. What do you make of this?
If he leaves for Alabama, Tommy Rees, it's just frustrating for me, man, because I want to see what he can do with the actual talented roster. Because this offense is going to be really good, and I just don't want someone other than Rees to mess it up. I don't think they will, but it's just that.
Wait, the way you said that was funny. You said, I don't want anybody but Rees to mess that up. So you're saying if it gets messed up, but it's Rees, that's okay because it's our Notre Dame guy messing it up, but we don't want an outside guy messing it up.
Well, because I want to know if Rees is actually the guy. I wanted to know if he was the guy to lead this offense and to lead Notre Dame.
No, you're right. Listen, no, wait, You're right. You're right. If let's just say it was, Buckner, Pine, whatever, there wasn't this big influx of talent in the skill positions and the recruiting. Then I'd be like, okay, Tommy, nothing's going to get any better. You're still working with kind of lower level, mid-range guy. Go do something else. You're right. The most exciting thing we were going to see from Tommy was going to be this year. Because of the better talent, I was genuinely open to seeing that and hoping he would let it rip and we would see this modern and everything we've been asking for, blah, blah, blah. That's the part I wanted to see. I don't miss anything I've already seen. I wanted to see that next step, and we might not.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly, if Tommy goes to Alabama, I know, they're Alabama. But, besides Bryce Young, nothing, and Jahmyr Gibbs, that offense didn't really impress me at all, the other guys on that team. So, I don't think it's, a huge step up going to Alabama for the talent. But, I know the recruits.
Well, what do you mean? They have 9 5-star guys in this class. We have 0. I mean, you can't tell me that's not a huge difference in talent. They have 9 and we have 0. It's a big deal.
Well, yeah, but I don't know, like when I look, like, are they actually getting the most out of their talent? I feel like Notre Dame was getting the most out of their running backs and their receivers, and like Alabama just wasn't last season. But I don't know, maybe they would be better if he brought in his own coaches. And Bill O'Brien's just not that smart. But
how much value do you put in the idea that Tommy wants to go play, coach under Saban and be under his wing as the top guy doing this, and what that would do for his profile for his next job? Like, can you understand the appeal from Tommy's angle?
yeah, I can, because you look at Lane Kiffin and Jim McElwain and Mike Locksley, they're all Power 5 head coaches. They all have better jobs. And if you look at like Stanford and the other Chip and the other guys that were at Notre Dame, like they never really, like, some of them got Group of 5 coaching jobs at like UMass and Miami of Ohio, but nothing compared to what Saban's offensive coordinators are getting. Like those guys are all upgrading after they leave Alabama, and at Notre Dame, like they didn't really get much better jobs.
Yeah, it's just interesting, man. And what about this? What if the guy's just sick of being an all Notre Dame all the time and all the Notre Dame specific Notre Dame pressure and all that? 17 years old, that guy was recruited to Notre Dame. It's been most of his life and career. I couldn't, and also not as the main guy, the decision maker. That's another point I want to make whenever I bring up Tommy being under the Notre Dame umbrella so long. Being under it and not being in charge is a challenge. Being under it, but you can make decisions, is one thing. He wasn't that guy, so he had to kind of stay in line, stay in his spot. I could just see him wanting a fresh start somewhere else in college and exciting. And I couldn't blame a guy if he wanted to do that.
But at Alabama, the pressure is going to be just as big, if not bigger, because they only, like, at Alabama, it is extremely disappointing if you do not win a national championship.
But maybe that's what he wants. Maybe that's exactly the kind of pressure he wants, with better talent and the expectation that you're in the playoff and you better win it every year. Like, maybe that's exactly what he wants, and Notre Dame's not in the position to offer that at this minute. Maybe he wants to go to the NFL, do this for a year or two, put up good numbers, and go be an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Like, it could be any of that stuff. It could just be as simple as wanting to try somewhere new. And if you're going to do that, going to learn under the number one guy doing this is a pretty good landing spot. And it's also a raise. I'm not acting like money's not money. 2 million's more than 1.5. 3 million's more than 1.5. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't want it to happen.
Who would they bring in? Have you even thought of that? Who they would bring in, or who you would want?
I really want Brady. Joe Brady would definitely be my first choice.
Tom Brady's available. Let's get him too.
Yeah, Tom Brady's available. Let's get him too. But like what Joe Brady did in 2019 with LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's only a small sample size, but I feel like we can do, I don't know, like run a similar style or system to what they ran. I feel like it's easier to implement at Notre Dame than like Cliff Kingsbury or other guys.
Yeah, and all of those are names on the list. I've seen Brady on the list. I've seen Kingsbury on the list. And there's a bunch of names of guys that run decent offenses, but they're not high-profile names a lot of regular fans would recognize. Andy Ludwig of Utah. How many people know that name? The Marshall guy. Clint Trickett has a name people know. And so does Mike Shanahan, but it isn't those Mike Shanahan. So different Mike Shanahan. Yeah. And then Weiss Jr., there you go. Let's bring another legacy in. Charlie Weiss Jr., baby. You want to talk about growing up in the shadows of Notre Dame. You go from Tommy Rees to Charlie Weiss Jr. Got it all covered. God. So how does this play out? Does he leave?
I think he does, if I had to put money on it. But I hope he doesn't. But
I'm seeing in the chats, people are saying ND reports are claiming they will match the money. In my opinion, money is, well, it's easy for me to say, they're not my bills. Money's like the last thing on this checklist to me of if I'm Tommy and I'm deciding if I would do this or not. The money's kind of low on the list compared to a lot of other things to me. Tommy's making good money. The guy's a multimillionaire. Tommy ain't broke, whether he takes the Notre Dame job or the Alabama job. Tommy isn't broke. I have no financial concerns. So Notre Dame matching the money tells me they want him and they're making an effort to keep him, which is important publicly to let that be known. But to me, the money is low on this list of considerations. If I was Tommy, it'd be low.
Yeah, because he turned down Super Mario's money at Miami and Kelly's money at LSU already. So I don't think money is the end all be all.
So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. And if it does happen, then I want you to call me back. Tell me what you think about it and who we might hire.
Of course.
Have a good one, man. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your weekend.
Cool. Can I email you real quick afterwards?
Absolutely. You got my email. It's on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Beautiful. I'll check it after the show. Hit me up, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Oh, $4.99 Lane Stewart. Hey, listen. Oh boy, I just hit a bunch of things on the screen. I don't know what they were. We got a bunch of new people here today. Some fans of other teams that jumped in the conversation. I want to say welcome, everybody. Thank you. The more people here, the better. Make it one big party. If you're here, go ahead and hit subscribe. That helps me. Give the video a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Drunk Bigo says you can slide right in Johnny's DMs, bro. Go for it. You guys have no idea what my emails and DMs look like. Like, it's a scene. When something goes bad with Notre Dame, you should see what I get. People just unload. Just whatever profane, whatever they need to do, you just shoot it right in Johnny's messages. I'm the guy for that sort of thing. One Sock Billy with Frank Leahy as the logo. I love that to start a Friday. Need a guy that could light a fire under this offense. Tired of watching paint dry every Saturday. Freeman is getting the talent now, so need a QB and an offensive guy that kids would love to play under. Apparently, everybody loved playing under Rees, too. We just didn't have an offense that could compete in the biggest games we play, which is kind of a problem. Kind of a problem. It just is. 818. Make it great.
Tired of watching paint dry every Saturday.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey,
that's hilarious.
What are you going to do when old St. Nick wants to rob your favorite little guy and take him all for himself?
What you going to do when Saban goes onto the road, brother?
Oh,
come and take you.
God. What you going to
do?
do?
Honestly, John, here's what I think.
Hey, wait a second. Time out. The first thing I want to mention is, did you see Hulk Hogan had some surgery on his nerves and he has no feeling from the waist down from now on? He's got to walk with like a big couple canes. He has no feelings from his waist down, apparently.
Yeah, I know, man. I just heard about that yesterday and I was like, oh my God. There was like kind of a false misleading thing where it was like he's paralyzed, but that's not true. He's not paralyzed. He just can't feel from the waist down. Now, I'm assuming that means in certain areas that would upset him even more than others, but that sucks, man. But, at the same time, a guy like that has had such a long, illustrious, wonderful career.
All those guys pay the price later in life. When you go that hard, you pay the price.
He would probably trade that for the life he's led, I would guess, if I had to ask Hogan.
Yep.
But at least the guy can still walk. At least it's not paralyzed in such a way where he can't, walk.
Get around. Yeah. Rodney, let me ask you, man. Let me ask you this. I want to know. I need to know. Are you going to be sad to see Rees leave? Do you want him to stay? Are you in the middle, depending on who we hire and how you feel? Do you think? What do you make of this? This is there's a lot of opinions that could be valid here. What do you make of this?
Hey, Brian. Right. Here's the thing. It depends. Listen, Hartman coming in this next season was really exciting to see it because I honestly thought Rees was going to succeed this year and really knock it out of the park. I still think that. Here's the other thing. Rees is ascending as a coach. He's not probably going to get worse or stay the same because he's a very young coach. John, this is the first year Rees really called plays, really. A couple of years under Kelly or whatever, but did we believe it was always, that was the way it was? So, I mean, really dating back to last year's the game against Oklahoma State. What was it? Cotton Bowl? Sugar Bowl?
Fiesta.
What was that, John?
Fiesta, I believe.
Was it the Fiesta Bowl? Okay. Yeah. Dayton back then, that's really without Kelly as the, voice of God. That's kind of short. That's a short body of work. And I just think Rees is only going to ascend. Here's the interesting part. I'm not looking at this the same way everybody else is. Okay. I think right now what you're seeing with Freeman as the head coach and Rees as the offense coordinator is quite possibly Notre Dame's next two head coaches. Okay. There might be someone in the middle. I think this is an excellent stepping stone for Rees to take that job. I'm just saying, if I'm him, I want to learn from the best. You got a chance to learn under Nick Saban for a year or two.
Yeah.
I would absolutely take that. It made sense for him not to go to L's. He's already learned under Brian Kelly. He's already had that. And I think the hard part for Rees is that I really think his heart is in this team and getting them to that next level. And I think but at the same time, it's like, he could wait probably a year and still get that. It's not under Saban, under someone else. And most of Saban's coordinators don't stay for more than a year or two anyway. All right.
Yeah,
so, I mean, he probably, but I think, honestly, he's being groomed to be a head coach, John. I think that's the thing.
Isn't it kind of understood, Rodney? Rodney, I think you're onto that because Alabama's such an NFL and coaching and talent factory. Nobody goes there thinking
that's an excellent move for Rees, man.
Yeah,
That'd be an excellent move for him.
Nobody goes there.
Dude. I really do.
Nobody goes there thinking I'm going to be Saban's offense coordinator for the next 7 years. You're trying to pile up accomplishments in 1 to 2 years and parlay that into your next job. And let's be honest, that's what all of us do in our careers. Use one job's experience and the good you did there and get a promotion. Like, that's life. That's what he's doing. I could never blame him for doing it. Listen, it's a lot of pressure when your whole life has been Notre Dame since you were 17. Yeah. It is unique.
I agree.
That is a unique grind on you since you were 17. Yeah. All these expectations and nothing's ever good enough. And we expect the world, but you can't recruit the world because of, reading and writing. Like, there's all these Notre Dame pressures. I would not blame the guy for wanting to do something else.
Well, but not only do I not blame him, John, I'm looking at this in a very weird sort of circle here where I'm thinking it through down the line. This is a great move for Notre Dame because I honestly believe Rees is going to be a head coach at Notre Dame someday. I mean, I believe that's ultimately what's going to happen. Whether Freeman stays here, I'm going to predict between 5 and 8 years is going to be Freeman's stay. That's just my prediction. And then whether Rees is along the line enough at that point to be a head coach or there's someone, a buffer in the middle. I think so. Anyway, the trajectory of his career, I would want him to coach under someone like Nick Saban to have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this kind of strangely as a Notre Dame fan too, in the big picture, because I think I'd love to see him be here one more year. Even I didn't think he was going to be here more than one more because I just thought, okay, he's going to go on to the NFL or a smaller school, like a under 5 school, what do they call those now, would take a chance on him as a head coach maybe. Really believe that's Rees' trajectory. You say that you rise to your level of incompetence. I think, but also there are some guys that the higher they go, the better they do. Like they're better as I think Rees is a better offensive coordinator than he is a quarterback coach. I think he's going to be a better head coach than he is an offensive coordinator. So yeah, man. And I'm just trying to look at this a little bit outside the box and see how this is really good actually for Notre Dame down the line too. But no, Rees, take the job, man. Seriously, this is a great move for him. And again, a different environment, different coach. He may not want to be there more than a year.
All right. But now,
Saban,
all right, we're covering that end of it. And I think it should be pretty obvious why this would appeal to you. If it was Nebraska or Illinois or something that was obviously lower or on our level, then I have a different set of questions. I have a different set of questions. But the next thing is, congratulations, go further your career. Then where does that leave Notre Dame? Where does Notre Dame go from there?
Right,
Do you have recruiting concerns about CJ Carr? What is Hartman going to stay? What about that? Then who do you hire? It just opens up a batch of questions for us.
Well, I mean, you stole my thunder and you said Tom Brady's available. I'm like, yeah, Tom Brady's available.
I think
recruit
people would be happy with Joe Brady. People would take Joe. You don't even need Tom. We could take a Joe and people would like it.
That's just it, John. There are so many names.
But you could get wild. You could get wild. Byron Leftwich, unemployed, creative offensive mind. You want to get new eyes on it and look at it totally differently?
Yeah.
Get Byron Leftwich in here. He could relate with Marcus, and they could come up with a modern offense, get new eyes on it from an old quarterback who knew what was going on. I don't know. There's a lot of options. It's got to be a guy that can recruit, though. Got to be a good recruiter, good communicator, and obviously run a decent scheme. But recruiting and communication are key to me with this position. It's got to be a guy who excels in both areas.
I would love to see a Freeman Leftwich tandem, man. That'd be great. I mean, there's so many names, like you said, man. Joe Brady. A lot of guys I just think of as the offensive coordinator of so and so.
But the other thing is, these are names to us. We don't know if they're all interested. They're just names we're gonna try and call. Like, it's got to be a two-way street. It's like, I'm interested in dating a model, but I don't think she's looking at me.
But that jar, John, that penny jar is full. Is the point? Like, there's a lot of people to choose from. I mean, whether or not all of them are available, of course, that's going to dwindle down to, less than what the pool is you have. But the point is, there are so many. Freeman's going to knock this pick out of the park. I have no doubt. I think it's going to. And we're already talking as if he's gone. I still don't. Obviously, I think Rees would like to stay and see this thing through, especially with Hartman. But I think he also I don't know. If I'm him and if all things are equal, I think you got to take that job. But if I'm Notre Dame, I'm going. Like I said, I don't even really have a name other than I was thinking John. Oh well, I know, John. You're really sad to see this, but could you just imagine opening up the paper tomorrow? Let me get you really upset now. And Ryan Shaw being courted for Notre Dame offensive coordinator.
Don't do it. Don't. Somebody put it in the chat. Somebody put it in the chat. What John's head is going to pop off if they hire David Shaw, and it would be so Notre Dame. The problem is, I don't think he's a good recruiter. I don't see him recruiting. I think he was used to getting future NASA scientists over at Stanford. I feel like I want him. I don't know if he's a grindy recruiting guy the way I need.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, all seriousness aside, or funny jokes aside, or smirk aside, if you will.
Yeah.
The type of offense and, of course, the type of school Stanford is, it wouldn't be a match. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't even know who wants to coach or wants to take that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to be the case. It's probably going to be somebody, probably a little older than Rees, I would think, someone that's got that football pedigree. Now, the more interesting one for me is something you mentioned very quickly and then went on. Is your sources saying Golden might be gone?
I have not personally seen it, but a couple people put it in the chat. And again, I don't know whether they're trolling to get me all worked up, trying to get people mad, or if it's something, a tweet came out. I have no information on it other than what I saw in the chat.
It's interesting with him because he's just kind of like Rees. Because I really do think Rees is great, man. I think he's going to be great. I really do. But I think his ultimate destiny is as a head coach. I think that's where he's going to thrive. I always thought that. Ever since I remember Rees playing, I think this guy's going to be a great coach one day. And I remember thinking, probably a head coach. Just kind of, anyway, so good for Rees. Golden's kind of on the flip because his career is sort of it's not at the end per se, but in the later stages of his coaching career.
Yeah.
So, but again, I'm sort of like if he stays, fine, because I think, we'll see what he does after a year of learning the system and learning how Freeman works and Freeman learning how he works, and maybe Freeman taking more of a role, maybe stepping back more. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I expect that to improve, the red zone defense especially. I think we'll get better. But if he leaves, I'm also not that worried about it because I did think of the last few coaches we've had coaching our defense, with the exception of which will not be named, that he was probably the least, of the three, the Elko, the Karklia, Bob Diaco even.
Yeah.
And then I would put Golden fourth. So anyway, point is, I think that would, I'd be totally fine either way. So it's kind of weird. We're in this offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator position where they stay fine. If they lose, Fine.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, but that's unpopular.
And I mean,
Everybody,
nothing bad about that.
but like everybody wants
really,
you.
I'm rooting for Rees.
Everybody wants you to
Really
be
rooting for Rees.
all over here, all over there. It's like politics. It's not popular to be reasonably in the middle, taking ideas from both sides, making compromises. That's not popular, but it really is kind of where I'm at. I was excited to see him work with better talent and whatever. And if he goes somewhere else, it's an opportunity for a fresh start and a new modernization. I'm fine with it either way.
Ultimately, I guess what I'd love to see, if I had it my way, I would love to say I'd love to see Rees stay this year and this year only. Because, like I said, I'm also looking at this down the line. I'm thinking I want to see him
but
go
you
off
don't.
and do
But
things
you
with
don't
other
want to
coaches.
see him develop CJ Carr and work with CJ Carr. You don't want to see him work with Kenny
Yeah.
Minchie. Like it's always
Well,
going to
John,
lead to
that
the
just
next
doesn't-
thing. It
here's the
always
thing.
leads to the
But
next
John,
thing.
don't you think though, John? I mean, with all this NFL, like, with so much pressure, or not pressure, but just support from those in the NFL and those who seem to know what they're talking about. Dan Orlovsky's a huge fan. I've seen him talked about many times. Don't you think there was no chance we were going to keep more than another year anyway? I mean, the big money is going to be coming that we're not going to be able to match. We're not going to want to match, because why not just go get someone for the same amount? And then also, again, Rees needs to leave. He needs to get out of the comfort zone in Notre Dame eventually. Because he's somebody I want to see coach a couple places.
Wait. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That his time frame at Notre Dame was going to be short no matter what. Because if he has head coaching aspirations at all, you're not going to sit behind a guy just starting his head coaching tenure forever. So you might be onto something that there was a clock on that anyways. But I don't know. I've never heard that Rees wants to be a head coach. Some guys don't have that dream and some do. I've never personally heard that he did for sure, or heard him say it. I don't know.
Oh, and I've never, and to be fair, John, I haven't either. I just always thought that. I always, there's just certain people, they hit you a certain way. And the same with Freeman. I was like, this guy's ultimately, his best is going to be the ascension to head coach. Like some people, like, again, you rise to your level of incompetence. Oh, he's great as this. Oh, no, he can't do that. I think with both those guys, the best of them is at the head position. I think it just feels like a head coach to me. He's just young. He just, you know what I'm saying? But Rees feels like a head coach to me. He really does.
Yeah,
So, no one said that. I just get that from him.
Yeah, well, and I'm not saying I just hear it from you. I've seen it all over on Twitter, and I've just never, for some reason, seen or heard that as like for sure is go. Some guys don't want that. Maybe he does. I don't know, but I don't know, man. So
one last thing, John, I wanted to say about. Can I say one thing about the coaching position? I'll say this: whoever they do hire as defensive coordinator, and whoever those guys bring in at some point down the line, next couple of years. I was watching the Notre Dame podcast, with Mike Singer and Grimsby were on there, and then there was Zibikowski was on the show, and it was Zibby and Goolsby talking, and you can tell they both would take that a Notre Dame coaching job if it was offered in some capacity, and I think those two, Goolsby and Tom Zibikowski, would be. I'd love to see them coach for Notre Dame. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, you know what else too?
Willing things into existence.
Mr. Goolsby might be making an appearance on Always Irish soon. That we're working on it. I want to get.
Dude, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I love Goolsby, dude, and he would mesh so well with you.
Yeah, and the reason is a lot of people reached out to me that me and him would be a good blend, and a lot of people reached out to him, and a lot of people reached out to him and go, the way you let it rip, you need to join John. Him and I are working on this, and I'm going to try and do an interview with him and then cut it up into different segments. But it would be really raw because he lets it rip and so do I. So I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, but I think also him having a podcast the last couple of years on that show, and he's got really good. I mean, I really evolved with him. I really like listening to him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're my favorite buddy. You're
number one. I appreciate that.
That's a really good second. I mean, I love listening to those two. Him and Singer do a really good job, and Tim Hyde is on. I really enjoy those guys.
Yep.
So anyway, but those are my thoughts so far. What else, John? What do you think? What else? What other topic? I mean, like, what do you think? Who do you want, man? Who would you take if you had two or three choices?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would want somebody who's going to push Notre Dame. Here's what I'll say. This is going to be a cop out, but it really isn't. I would like somebody that wants to push Notre Dame's comfort level. Does that make sense? I want somebody who comes in here and pushes Notre Dame's offense to the point that it's almost uncomfortable because they're so modern and aggressive and with it that they're not used to it. Like, I want a guy to look at this differently and find a more efficient way to be able to maintain our DNA of physicality and be able to put up a lot of points and be exciting. Whoever's going to provide that to me, it's been sorely missing and lacking, and I need it. Whoever that is, I don't know, but that's the profile I'm looking for. Good recruiter, good communicator, and a guy where I'm going to go, wow, that looks different and modern. That's what I'm after. But without sacrificing our DNA of wanting to be physical. That's what I need.
Right. Yeah. I think, I know that's the strange part. You look at our strengths, and our strengths are in the offensive line and running backs, and that just screams for a pro style offense.
Yeah, and you know what else? In about 2 to 3 years, the wide receiver is going to be Notre Dame's going to have some real talent. Give it 2 to 3 years.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be a strength.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we're probably we're thinking, John. It needs. I mean, Notre Dame's never really run that kind of spread, not necessarily, what do they call it? Woodsy ball at under Tressel or Ohio State, Purdue. Who was that coach? Was that the head coach of Purdue for a while there? That he would always call it woodsy ball. Anyway, I'm not promoting that, but something where there's a little bit more flirtation with players in space and also vertically down the field.
Yeah, that's what I want to. Yeah.
It sounds like the Wake Forest coach, the offensive coordinator. I know.
Yeah, but you got to be able to do that while you want to maintain your ability to run when you want to and not give up that physicality. You talk about Joe Tiller at Purdue.
Joe Tiller. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, the JT, I guess.
Dr. John's here. He woke up late, I think, but Dr. John's in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you enjoyed your tropical vacation.
Yeah, greetings, Dr. John. Definitely. Yeah, man. So I'm kind of with you, John. I don't really care. I got trust that Freeman will get the right guy. I guess that's where I'm at. Like, I think it's fine for all parties involved. If Rees stays, great. I can't wait to see this year's offense. If Rees leaves, great. Because, like I said, coaching under Saban, that'd be great for him down the line. I want him to have that experience. And again, if it comes around to us at some point, to know he coached for Saban, probably got his head coach. Yeah.
Don't you got to look at it? It's kind of like the Kelly Freeman thing. It kind of looked like everybody won. Kelly made the move he needed to make. He's comfortable, likes what he's doing. I got the guy I wanted in Notre Dame, and it didn't go perfect last year, but I feel like it's trending up, and I feel good about it. Like, this could be another dynamic where everybody kind of ends up winning in their own little way. And we all end up just fine. I'm telling you, stays or goes, I'm not freaking out either way. And I freak out about everything, but I just don't. I freak out about everything with Notre Dame. But this one, I genuinely mean either way, I think I'm going to be fine.
Well, and we also have 3 recruiting classes now in a row that we've gotten top 10 talent every time. There's not been any drop off there. I think it's just crazy because, I realized our overall ranking, we actually ended up, in some places, the middle one, and other places were the third. But with last year's being our highest. Anyway, all the semantics aside, that's 3 in a row, man. 3 top 10 classes. So the talent is just getting better. Like you said, the upper echelon, half of the class of talent is at that, 83% blue chip rate.
Yeah.
So as long as that all keeps going where it's going, I just think this is going to just keep ascending. It's going to keep ascending. I'm just looking forward to watching it, man. That's
beautiful.
Where I'm at.
My friend, thank you for the call as always. Call me again and have fun this weekend. Take care of yourself.
You too, man. Here's a phrase to let it go. Go ahead and go get Goolsby, because he ain't no foolsby.
Ooh, I like that. Bye. Good rhyme. See ya. We're dropping you on the last rhyme. Oh, I was going to take one more call and then he dropped off. If you want to call back, I'm ready for you. Last call of the day. California, you know who you are, regular. If you want it, hit me back real quick. I get you. You're the last one. If not, that'll be it. I'm going to give him a minute. See if he does. I felt bad right when I was going to go to him too. Frank Luna, $5 holler. I appreciate it. Actually, it's not $5. This is Barcelona, Spain dollar. Cheers from Barcelona. It's happy hour here now. Oh, beautiful. Happy hour here now. I watch ND games live Saturday nights or Sunday mornings. Bring back Clash for Mike. Frank, it's just messing with my mind thinking of that time difference and how like all the games are and the information day and night. That's wild to me. That's really wild to me. But I appreciate your support, Frank. You're here often. I really do appreciate it. Uncle Fred, Goolsby and John would be a great pairing. 41 isn't a huge fan of Freeman, so I could see a great conversation happening. For a former player, Goolsby lets it rip. He lets it rip. All right, I think I got my caller back. Last one of the day. Thank you. 707, you're on the air. I wanted to make sure I got you and threw that line out at you.
Thanks, John.
Nope, no problem. I wanted to get you.
Well, I was out there making breakfast, and so I was going to sit down and eat and watch the rest of your show, but here I am. I heard you wanted to take my call, so.
Yep, nope. Hey, people that are loyal like that, and I have the numbers of the regular people I want to make sure I get you. So all of this dynamic, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Should Notre Dame be mad? Might lose a guy. Are we a stepping stone? What about the recruiting? Who do we hire to replace him? Where are you at in all this?
Man, that's a lot. I don't know. I think he's been with us since 2017, and we have not won. A caller before said, Alabama plays for a championship every year. Well, I'm old enough to remember that Notre Dame was just like that. So, you can't settle for guys that are not good quarterbacks, So, he was with the team since 2017. I don't know if he was a quarterback coach. He started, and then the last, 2 or 3 years, he's been offensive coordinator, but without a quarterbacks coach. So you're asking a guy to do, a game plan for every week, and then you're asking him to oversee the running backs, you're overseeing the offensive line, you're overseeing your quarterbacks. He's got his hands full, and he should have had help with a quarterback coach and a good one, somebody that could really help kids. So yeah. He wanted to do that himself. So to me, I'm hoping he goes. I don't know if he's actually accepted a job yet or not, but Nick Saban, he takes guys in for a year or 2 or 3 at the most, and he just goes on to the next. So he's just planting the seed out there for Rees, and knowing he'll probably be a short timer, and it'll be interesting though to see if he will make Rees coach from the sideline instead of up in the booth, because Saban's the kind of guy that'll get in his coaches' faces if they're not doing the job right.
Yeah. And it's just so, of all the time Rees has been, here's the best way to put this. Rees has been a part of my Notre Dame life for way longer than I wanted, given the results of everything he's been involved in. I'll put it that way. However, if ever there was a time I was excited to see Rees, it was going into this next year, because the talent intrigues me more, to the point where I might see some of this genius that exists in people's brains that I don't see on Saturdays. I thought this was the chance we might see it, and now it might not happen at all. So I might not even get my answer. I was going, the talent's better. Hartman's here. You're finally going to see what Tommy can do. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, and I can see and understand your point, because here's the thing, for what is it now, 6 or 7 years, he's been learning on the job. So he has to be getting better if he's anything at all.
Yeah.
You have a lot of experience now, and he got paid by Notre Dame to get all that experience.
But I always heard he doesn't have what do you want him to do with this quarterback and wide receiver, this and that? You can't judge him off that. And now that it's finally getting to the point that I can get a clean slate and a fair judgment, he's going to be gone. It looks like he's going to be gone. Like, that's a little frustrating, but I am not acting. I am not going to cry myself to sleep if the architect of the Camping World Bowl offense isn't like, no. I don't even know. No.
And that was like 4 years ago.
No.
That was like 4 years ago that they got a win.
God, and I'm not going to have hard feelings. This guy loves Notre Dame. He's given so much of his young life years to Notre Dame. There's no hard feelings at all.
He got paid for it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's just so many variables now that you just can't freak out about one of them. There's NIL and transfer portals and,
luckily,
there's so much going on right now.
Luckily, the host of this show never freaks out about anything. I like to stay level. I like to stay level-headed, man. I'm smooth sailing. I just go with the flow. You're in the right spot. If anybody here doesn't want to freak out, you're in the right spot, man. I'm consistent as the day is long, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, their needs are so much more than just that. That's huge. But, as we all know, the defensive line, the linebackers have to be better. Like Al Golden, he was with Cincinnati as a linebackers coach. And, his first year with the team, they were not a strong unit. So, hopefully that'll rebound a little bit for us. But they got to get some players, and they got to, play the guys that were potential, like Collie. I want to see him, take the field a lot more than we've seen of him. I don't know what their holdback is on that, but, there's a whole lot of different areas.
You know what they say? I got an answer. I have an answer for that. You and I have talked about this most of the year. And I've seen that question asked with some of the beat writers in like Q&As. At why those young guys, like you mentioned, aren't playing at linebacker. We want to see those flash plays and all that. Those guys always bring up, you're seeing the flash plays out of those young guys, but you're not seeing all of the missed assignments and the areas that they're not supposed to be and all the mental errors of them messing, that you don't see all that behind the scenes. And that's why they're going with maybe less athletic, but more reliable guys to know where to be. And like, I've heard that be an answer. But I also want to say back to that, isn't playing them more with live bullets flying the way to get them to react how you want them and in the right place? So some of that is you got to learn through it. And some of it, I get it, why they go J.D. Bertrand's reliable as the day is long in these situations. We're not taking them off field. I get it. So it's tricky with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that goes into being a championship type team. And certainly when you're looking at the Georgias and Alabamas, and Ohio States, these guys all have at least 7 5-stars, right?
Yep.
So, that takes another big accounting, So there's just a lot of stuff that's going to go into it. And I don't think this year will be the year. It's a tough schedule, and it's going to be a transfer quarterback. Apparently, he's very good. I mean, I've seen him in like 2 games. He looks good. I like it. And I also like Buckner. So if there's an injury, and the next guy in is going to be a good replacement. So you got to feel good about what you have going. And the recruiting of this year's and next year's is off to a good start. 24, I'm talking about. There's a lot of things that go into it, and you just have to wait and see because of the chaos that is NIL and transfer portal. I mean, this is now more exciting than NFL free agency.
Yeah, dude, I've been saying there is no real offseason in college football. Sure, the games stop, but then you have recruiting season, transfer portal season, and NIL check season all in a row.
Yeah, and it's all new, so no one knows what the hell's going on yet. You know, like you could try and have a system, and I like what Notre Dame's thinking is on getting guys that are, one and done kind of thing for the real spots that you absolutely need to have.
That's a modern way to fill out a roster for an immediate need. I agree with you. That's modern thinking.
And then they can keep consistent with what they're doing on recruiting. I mean, no 5-stars, but some hella good 4-stars are going to be on this 2023 roster. So it's going to be a good, solid team, just like Notre Dame always is. You know, they go in and play smash mouth, and I think I see that coming back anyway. I don't know if I saw that as much under Kelly, but you know, that's typically what Notre Dame does. They know that every team that they play on their schedule is coming in to beat their ass. You know, they want to beat Notre Dame.
Yep.
And that's the way it's always been. So Notre Dame knows going in, everybody wants us. Everyone wants us. You know, it doesn't matter. Georgia could say, you know, we're the hunters and all this bullshit, but really the hunters are everybody that comes to play Notre Dame.
Yep. We're everybody's Super Bowl. Listen, man, I'm really glad I got you in. I'm sorry I made you wait. We'll do some more shows. Yeah, we'll do some more next week as this develops. But I'm glad I got you. I felt bad I missed you.
Well, thanks, John. I really, one last thing I would say is I love Goolsby too. And if you can ever work something out with him to be a part of your show, you'll rule.
Yeah, I'm really excited about maybe doing something with him. We're on the same wavelength in a lot of areas, and I think that would create a very entertaining show with my delivery, his credibility from the player angle, and his openness. I think it'll be good. So hopefully this offseason I can make it happen. Have a good weekend, my friend. I don't want to take you away from breakfast.
All right, John. Thanks a lot. Go Irish.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Go Irish. Nice guy, man. One of the nicest guys. Calls every day. $5 holler from Dr. John. Renew my subscription for February. Well, I don't charge you, but I'll take the 5 spot. Thank you, my friend. There you go. Miller Lite on John from Dr. John tonight, courtesy of Dr. John. Thanks a lot. What else did I want to hit? Couple starred comments here. Check this out. Tony says, Saban is smart. He sees the ND threat, and what better way to disrupt ND recruiting? Very smart. What ND threat? What ND threat? ND's recent threat was that we had Keeley, and then all of a sudden he decided he liked him, and then Notre Dame no longer had Keeley. Saban's not scared of Notre Dame recruiting. He's not. I don't think. Oh, boy. All right, folks. That's going to be it. I have some things to do. Who knows, you guys? Some of you, you might see me on YouTube on other channels soon. The off season provides me a lot of time to come up with ideas. John may or may not be creating 2 more YouTube channels this off season. Some of you may know what they are. Some of you may never find them. I might not even do a crossover. We're going to see what happens. But I have more stuff planned than just this, let's just say. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Big crowd today. All the commenters, all the donators, all the thumbs uppers, everybody who called, everybody, I appreciate it. There is no Always Irish Radio show without you guys. You drive the show. I'm just here to kind of keep it on the road and provide a framework. Love y'all. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Have a cold drink. Take care.